What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Plastic Underground. I'm Caleb. This week we're going to build a helmet that I have been wanting to do for a while, but my buddy Parker, he kind of requested it, so it's been on my to-do list for a while, so I'm going to knock it off the to-do list. The template I used is I bought a template from StormTrooper Templates. He's a pretty cool guy. He's got like a ton of stuff. If you guys are like looking to make like a full costume or just a helmet, he's got like every major Stormtrooper like full template, and his prices are pretty cheap too. I mean, it's well worth the money. You don't just get like a piece of paper with the shapes on it, you know, your template. He gives you like a full instruction manual, and it goes right through the entire like process, like all the steps, and it's pretty sweet. He also gives you the 3D print files are on Thingiverse for free, so you can get them even if you don't buy his templates. You can download his files. It comes with the hinges and the like mouthpiece, and he makes like the stamps for like the symbols, insignias, and the vents and stuff, so you can like stamp it. He also has a full video on his channel. It's like an hour, and it's like in-depth detail of like the entire process of how he puts the stuff together. So I try to do that in my video where it you kind of see the step by step, but if I rush through things or don't explain things well, go check out his videos, because his videos are like super in depth. So that being said, here's the finished product. This is my Scout Trooper helmet, Bike Trooper. Pretty happy with it. The template is pretty great, and you'll notice that mine's not. I didn't weather it. This is the first time I've done like a clean. Well, no, it's not. Second time. My prototype Boba Fett was a clean white helmet too, but yeah, I left it clean. Wanted it to look like a new trooper. I might weather it later. So. But the cool thing about this template is that the helmet pops up for your face. He also has a template for like the chin strap, you know, for like hold your chin, and also like so when you open the helmet you can see the chin. I ended up putting a couple magnets in here just to make it easier when you close it to really like clip it in, you know. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I will see you in the next one.
Alright, so to start off this build, we're going to start with the top of the dome of the helmet. Just use my heat gun there to heat it up so I can kind of bend it and get like a curved shape going, just so it's easier to glue together. These two pieces get glued in the center seam, and then I match the center line up with the back. Usually I don't like mark the marks to help like guide and fit pieces together when I'm doing stuff, but when I buy a pattern and that stuff is like done, I try to like always like transfer the template over like completely with the numbers and the guidelines, just to make sure that I'm on the right track and I'm doing it right. Like I said though, this comes with really good instructions, like a booklet, so I was always kind of looking at that too. And then as you can see, that piece there comes all the way around and then gets connected to itself again, and that is what makes up the whole top dome part. So moving down the helmet here, there's this part. I don't have the template in front of me, so I don't know the letters of these parts, so I'm sorry about that, but I'm just using the template and the instructions going in the same order of build that that they use there. So basically these 6 pieces here, they make up the entire helmet, the back of the helmet. Technically it's like the full helmet because the face is one separate piece. So I give these a heat them up quick and just kind of use my hand just to kind of curve them, just to give them a little bit of a bend all the way through. Again, that makes it a lot easier to glue together when they're already pre-bent and you're not trying to use the glue to like force them into shape. So on this piece here, I cut out these back vents. Now you could use the pieces that you cut out and just glue them in, but I've always found it easier just to glue a piece on the back. So as you see, I just put a little bit of super glue on the back part there and just a extra chunk of foam glued on the back. So then this top piece here gets glued to the center and gets glued this way. A lot of these pieces have a 45-degree cut one way or the other. The instruction manual explains all of that stuff too, just so it's a lot easier to like see and like read. It's kind of what really helps it get that curve shape in the back of the helmet. So that's the first part there. That's the first part underneath the dome. So then you can glue that on to the dome piece. As always, for foam projects, I'm using contact cement, specifically from Wellwood Company. It's available locally for me. It's pretty cheap. I know a lot of people use like barge cement, but it's not available in my area, and it's pretty expensive for me to order it. And I have had no problems with this brand of contact cement. And you put it on both sides. I usually do like 2 coats. The first coat soaks into the foam. The second coat cures to the first coat. And you put it on both sides, and then when you stick it together, it's pretty much permanent. So this is the piece that goes underneath that other part that we just glued on the helmet. This becomes the vents, the ear vents, and makes that nice rounded piece all the way around the back of the helmet. These are those pieces earlier that I heated up and curved so that you can see how it glued on a little bit easier, keeps that shape. Then this bottom piece here gets glued on the bottom. It for them. And then that whole assembly piece here can get glued on to that part of the dome that's done. And that is it for the dome, the back of the helmet. So now inside that dome piece, we're going to do this. This is where the faceplate will sit on. I switched it up here, and I'm using a piece of 10mm foam for this part. I just wanted it to be a little thicker, a little bit more rigid, give it more of grip, so that the helmet, the faceplate sticks on it and kind of holds it in place a little better. The rest of the helmet I used 6mm foam, and that's probably thick enough. So this piece gets glued flush to the top of the dome, or the bottom of the dome, just that part there, and then the rest of this gets glued to match that curved shape. You can see I use my pen to draw the template on there just to make sure that I'm following those curved lines there. And then when you stick the bottom on, you can see that ear vent is kind of like forced into place. Just make sure I match the bottom seam together so it doesn't, look weird. And that is it for the first side of that. So now inside those ears, there's these little pieces. They get glued on the inside. For this, I'm using super glue so that I have a little bit more working time. With contact cement, it like sticks on, contact. So doing this type of thing where you have to like push something in, and it's just enough room to fit. As soon as it like touches, it's like it gets really annoying and frustrating, and like you can't like undo it. So I use a little bit of super glue just so I have a little bit better working time. So now after that, we're moving on to the faceplate here. So the first thing I did, I kept this together because I thought it would help in the long run. But actually it turns out it's a lot easier if you cut that center eyepiece out where the visor goes. Your inset visor. I left it on just because I thought maybe it'd help it keep its shape better, but it turned out to be a little bit like more frustrating to get this to glue together. It seems like that kind of was too rigid, and it didn't like move as much as you needed to. I really had to like force the pattern to glue to where it needed to glue. And then also it makes it harder to cut out after. So I would recommend cutting that eye piece out of your template before you glue it onto the face. And then this nose piece here, this gets glued on the inside of that. And I think the first time I did it, I put it too close to the edge. I think actually it's supposed to go back a little bit. So I think I redid that at one point. So then you can see here now I'm trying to like hold this whole piece flat as I cut the eye cap out. So this is part of the nose piece here. I drew the vents on where I want them to be. And I'm just using this little chunk of 2mm, and I'm just gluing that on the top of that. It's a lot easier to do when it's all one piece, instead of like cutting out all the little vents first. So now I can go through and cut my vents out. And then you can glue that in place right on that bridge of the nose there. Again, I just use a little bit of super glue just to kind of tack that into place. Now this is the like visor part of the helmet, so just giving it some heat so that I can like pre-bend it into that like 90-degree angle. So there, it's got kind of that shape going. And then the top of the face there kind of gets heated and bent a little bit. On the side of the cheeks there is markings, and that is where the visor glues to. So I glue the top center seam in first, then I work my way down the piece there, and then when I get to the edge, of course my head is in the way, I get to the edge, I glue those lines where they need to be on the visor. And it's important to match the side of the visor and the side of the face part evenly. And then you can go back through and you can kind of heat that up and just kind of shape it the way you want to. Then this piece here goes on the front. This is kind of what fills in that gap. Then the bottom chin piece can get glued on. This kind of helps keep the peak of the nose, helps keep the face that shape that you want. Then you can put that on and do like a test fit. Use a little bit of like masking tape to put everything where it needs to be. Just make sure everything fits and I can sand where it needs to be sanded. The other thing that needs to get glued on is these side pieces to the head here, just to make that like layered look. I'm just using this little dowel that I have, a little craft dowel. Using my blade just to kind of run along the inside just to kind of sharpen it. Then I can use that and I can push and twist. And then it'll cut right through the foam like a center punch. What's kind of cool about foam is it kind of works the same way that like leather working does. Except it's a lot easier. With leather, it's like a metal punch, and you're like hitting it with a hammer. So just having this little plastic tube that you can like twist and cut like a perfect circle is a lot easier. Now the file also comes with these 3D printed parts, so I printed them out. This is the nose cone, and these are some of the like hinges, the hinge screws. Now you can use like your own like Chicago screws or whatever for these, but since I was printing out the nose, I decided to try printing these out as well. This is the first time I've printed anything on my printer that's supposed to be like a mechanical that like actually like threads together. and it printed out fine. It worked fine, which was kind of cool. So you stick those through there. You can see you put the nut on the inside just to hold it in place. And then I go through and I heat up the inside of the helmet pretty good. I heat this up for a little while. Then you kind of hold it together, and all you're really doing is just making sure that the face and the helmet have shaped to each other, so that you can see how that those 10mm pieces have curve. That means that they're like shaped to the faceplate, so it sits pretty good. Now I decided to add some earth magnets here. These are very small magnets, but they're very powerful. And so I'm just kind of carving a little channel for them to sit in. Just add a little bit of super glue. And I can pop that magnet in place. And wait for it to dry. And then I do this technique where I rub my Sharpie on the actual magnet. Then I take this faceplate, line it up where I want it to be, and I press down where the magnet was, and you can see you're left with a little Sharpie imprint on the other side. So now I know exactly where to make a little channel on that side. I always test to the magnet before I glue it in to make sure that it's the right polarity, and then that's it. You can see how nicely that like holds the bottom together. So what did I do? I did a coat of like Mod Podge and just some black paint mixed in, just to give it a darker base coat. Sealed everything with Mod Podge. I didn't want to use Plasti Dip because I didn't want it to be black and then paint it white. So I just used some Mod Podge with a little bit of paint mixed into it just to give it a different coat. Then I go through with some flat white primer. And I do like 2 coats of that. Then after that I use a gloss white. And I do like a coat of that just to give it a nice gloss white finish. So then using the templates here, I tape down some this green frog tape, and I go through and I use my Sharpie and I mark these templates here. These are like for the paint and stuff. So basically I'm just kind of tracing and drawing them out, and then what I do is I will cut those out of the tape, and then I had some scrap vinyl, and so this piece here, there's a lot of lines, so I didn't really want to do that out of tape. I thought that would be kind of hard to do out of tape. So what I did is I just ended up using vinyl here, in the same way I did on the tape. I just kind of traced it. Then I go through and I like weed off all of the parts that you don't want, and then I'm just using a little bit of this clear packing tape. I use this technique here to make the tape less sticky, so that when you stick this on the foam, it doesn't like peel the paint off. You don't want it to be like super sticky. You basically want like the transfer to be sticky enough to hold the vinyl, but you don't want it to be too sticky because then it'll continue to hold the vinyl. So then I can line this up on the back where I want it. Push that into place. I did have a little bit of problems when I started removing the tape. You can see the edges are not holding, just because the tape was a little bit stickier than the foam. So then I just pulled everything down in the same direction, And I kind of use my knife to like hold the vinyl in place if they start peeling a little bit. And once that's off, it's fine. So here's this template that goes on the side of this visor piece. And this back piece here. Then I can go through with a little bit of gray. I did a base coat in this light gray, and then I went back through and I mixed up that same gray with a little bit of black just to make it a little darker. And then I also make sure to paint these vents gray as well. So there's the darker gray. Honestly, these big circles here on the back, they could have stayed that light gray. I think those are supposed to be like indented circles on the back of the helmet. So if they're lighter, they kind of look like they're recessed, not painted on. And then I just go back through and I just kind of repaint everything that's gray. Give it a little bit of a darker color. I wasn't happy with that light. And that nose vent also gets painted gray as well. The vents are gray, and then inside the vents are black. Which was kind of hard to get in there and paint those black after, but the nose gets the same gray for all of it, except for that like little circular speaker part at the bottom that gets a black coat. So then after the paint, you can peel your stencil off. That does a pretty good job at getting those details painted up. Way cleaner and easier than doing it by hand. So I go through a little bit of gloss black, like I said, for this speaker part of the nose, and then also like the inside of the top of the nose vent too. Then the backing plate needs to be black. Should have painted everything without the 3D print part being on the nose, and then painted that black and then glued it on. That would have been a lot easier, but hindsight is 20/20, and I didn't do that. But I did go through and I painted the inside of the entire helmet black, just because of the way the helmet opens. You're going to see the inside. Just wanted to make sure that it had this nice like black uniform coat. Then we can pop the face on. These 3D print screws. I also painted the top of those that same gray to match everything else. There you go, and that is it for the Scout Trooper helmet. Like I said, I didn't weather this. I left this pretty clean, which is weird for me. I might go through and weather it later at some point, but for now, that is it. That is the finished helmet. This was a really fun build to put together. I really appreciate StormTrooper Templates for great templates, and I will see you guys in the next video.